Matter will serve before Judge Piet Koen of the High Court Provincial Division here in KwaZulu-Natal, a judge of some 15 years, having been appointed in 2006 as a judge. In a moment, I will tell you about his experience and other matters related to him and what kind of a judge he is. But before I do that, let me take you to eNCA's Siphamandla Goge, who is inside Court A, which has been rigged and in terms of the physical infrastructure that is, and set up for State versus Zuma to get underway in earnest in the form of a trial. Siphamandla, we were saying earlier on that despite you and I thinking that the likelihood of a postponement to deal with this matter of legal representation for Mr. Zuma is high, the state could not afford to be found wanting, because either way, whatever happens, if the case is to get underway, the trial, they should be ready and raring to go. And from all indications inside there, it seems like the stage is set.
Indeed, whether this matter proceeds tomorrow or not, the stage is set here. Courtroom A is ready for the start of the trial. The state is adamant that it's ready to start with the trial. Now, there is that confusion about the issue of former President Jacob Zuma's legal representatives, but that is not the point. Inside here, my colleague Ndabambe will show you terms of COVID-19 protocols. Everything has been set here. All the seats have been designed for social distancing. You can see that there are signs on the floor which says, do not sit here. This is the public gallery, and this is where supporters of former President Jacob Zuma, as well as other members of the public, will be allowed to sit. But not everyone will be allowed to enter this courtroom. Let me tell you, because of COVID-19, the numbers will be limited, only a select few, so that there is compliance with COVID-19 protocols here. Come with me, let me show you what will happen. Here on my right, I see here the issue of maintaining social distancing, masks compulsory. That is non-negotiable, Thulasizwe. Of course, we all know that in South African courts, cell phones are not allowed inside court. So this is the interior of the court. But I want to show you something. So in this corner, you are going to have the state. Advocate Billy Downer and his team are expected to be seated on this side of the court. And then in the middle, you are likely going to have legal representatives of the French arms company Thales, which is former President Jacob Zuma's accused number 2. But I want you to look at this number 1, this white paper with number 1. This is where former President Jacob Zuma will be seated as accused number 1. Of course, it's been designed. There is a screen here, a shield for COVID-19 protocols and everything. So this is where the former president will be seated. This side, we expect that there will be his legal representatives, his legal team will be seated here. As to who will form part of that team, we don't know yet. I can tell you that our infrastructure, our cameras are inside this courtroom. We are ready to bring the court proceedings to you live and direct. And you will see here, there is this massive screen and some small screens that you will see. All these screens are for exhibit purposes and also for those who will be testifying visually or remotely, because not all of them will be coming physically to this court. Hence, we are still dealing with the issue of COVID-19 and everything. So this is where this legal battle will play out. You will have all the legal representatives here, both for accused number 1, former President Jacob Zuma, accused number 2, French arms company Thales, as well as the state. Here on my right, you will have officials of the court here doing what is called recording and capturing. Take a look at those 3 seats over there, up there. Ndabambe will show you those 3 seats. They are permanently there, but there will only be one judge sitting there, and that is Judge Koen. So this is the inside of the courtroom. This is where it will all play out tomorrow, and we'll bring it to you live and direct. This is one of the biggest cases in South Africa. It's been going on for years, Thulasizwe. We've been here before, and I can tell you that no matter what happens tomorrow, we will come back here. It will take months, even years, for this matter to be concluded. But also we expect that supporters of former President Jacob Zuma will be outside court, but in the public gallery we expect the likes of suspended ANC Secretary General Ace Magashule The chairperson of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, SHEZI Simelane, is also attending as the Provincial Executive Committee of the ANC in KZN has deployed him to represent the organization. Remember, the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal took a resolution to support former President Jacob Zuma to avoid the platform of his supporters outside being hijacked by other elements and forces. So come with me, let's show you. I want to show you this witness stand here. This is the box where you will see that all those who will be testifying, more than 200 witnesses, as the state has alluded, this is where they will be going to. This is the witness box. Should they come to testify, this is where they will come. So everything is set, everything is ready. We are ready for tomorrow. What happens tomorrow doesn't really matter, because we know for a fact that we'll be back here. But for now, the inside of courtroom A in Pietermaritzburg High Court is set and ready for tomorrow, Thulasizwe.
All right, Siphamandla, you allude there to the presence of our cameras inside Court A, and that's partly as a consequence of the decision and the judgment by Judge Kuhn in one of the preliminary processes, really. Nothing major, nothing too dramatic that allowed us to be inside there, to be able to beam this live. Of course, we take it for granted that we are inside court and hearing these matters live, but this needed to be a separate process, because all along we've been dealing with pre-trial processes. Now we needed to get on the record formally with the judge who will be presiding over this matter, who stipulated the particular conditions under which this criminal matter will be beamed live, in line with, of course, that principle of justice must not only be done, but also must be seen to be done. Open justice in South Africa. As I always say, we're not the kind of country that takes a guy and takes them around the corner and basically just bash them in the darkness of some corner, but we are a country of open justice. So that having come through with no objection, by the way, from any of the parties, either the prosecution or former President Jacob Zuma. Judge Kuhn granting that. So let's get into the politics of it. And Siphamandla, you touch on it briefly there about the presence of the ANC's provincial chairperson, SHEZI Simelane, tomorrow, as well as the other figures that you mentioned, the Secretary General Ace Magashule, among those who will be expected. It makes me wonder then, I'm joined by NKOSENTSHA SHEZI from the RET forces, right? I hope I don't get your title incorrectly. You are from the RET forces.
Of course.
So, SHEZI Simelane is coming through or to represent the Provincial Executive Committee of the ANC, and part of their concern is that whenever they've not been able to do that, the platforms seem to be quote-unquote hijacked, in that you can't stop people from coming to support former President Jacob Zuma, but it ends up being a gathering by ANC members, but in a lot of instances being shown disrespect being shown to the ANC and its various processes, including its leaders. A fair concern on the part of the PEC, but also in line with that, what can we expect tomorrow?
Well, look, one is very excited when the ANC has taken that decision, more especially in the province of President Jacob Zuma, because what has happened in 2018 is something that should never happen again. But I'm a bit worried and concerned about the reasoning behind Comrade SHEZI Simelane coming to support President Jacob Zuma. You know, when he speaks about people who are hijacking the platform and gaining popularity, is he not hijacking a hijacked platform, trying to get the same popularity? Because let's face it, there's no other politician in South Africa who's loved by people, ordinary people, men and women of this country, like President Jacob Zuma. Unfortunately, that love also translates to a very deep-rooted hate by the white monopoly capital and even black people who are on the payroll of the former slave masters. And it's just unfortunate that the chairperson of the province of KwaZulu-Natal, in the person of SHEZI Simelane, could make such a statement in that manner. I don't know what is he trying to convey, but I am happy that my leader is going to be here.
So locate yourself then as the RET forces within the context of the ANC as an organization. Just recently, the ANC was very clear that no member of the ANC should associate themselves with they said, the so-called RET forces. You are wearing an ANC T-shirt, and I think if I read correctly, it says, "We are Ace, hands off Ace Magashule." Are you not contravening the direct instructions of your own organization?
Unfortunately, ANC is not one of these shandugas and corporates where you just give directives. ANC is a people's liberation movement, you know. It was built upon the blood of people like Solomon Mahlangu. People like Chris Hani died for this liberation movement. They died for this freedom that we have today, this half-cooked freedom. You know, they articulated the position of the African people who are crying for their land to come back, who are crying for their economy to be given to the majority of this country. So for the NEC of the African National Congress, or whomsoever in the ANC, to come up and take a resolution, a directive to say you should not be RET forces, you know, it's an indictment. In fact, it's strange.
But they're saying you're a faction. They're saying you are not only a faction, but actually have become an organization within.
How can the policy of the very same ANC be a faction? Because, you know, President Cyril Ramaphosa is an RET force. What would you say if I say so? Because he leads as number one.
Yeah.
The very same ANC that in Nasrec conference, the 54th conference, declared RET.
You and I have to agree, though, that there is a difference between the RET, radical economic transformation, as a
we can agree. I'll tell you why.
We have to agree.
No, I'll tell you why.
I'll tell you why. Of conference and RET forces, because when I introduced you, I said you're from the RET forces.
Well, I didn't want to correct you because I know you've interviewed me a number of times. I am the national chairperson of the RET champion, but nonetheless, I am an RET force and I represent countless number of members of the African National Congress who are RET forces. Let me tell you one thing. You see, when the men and women of this country gathered to articulate on Freedom Charter, there were those that were opposed to the Freedom Charter. And the people who agitated for Freedom Charter, they were called charterists. And today, those who are articulating for land expropriation without compensation, those who are eagerly waiting for this ANC to nationalize the Reserve Bank so that it can belong to the people of this country, are then called RET forces.
Let me ask you a last and quick and final question, then, NKOSENTSHA, SHEZI, and you and I will continue to talk, of course, over the coming days and months.
Yes.
The loss of the legal representation for former President Jacob Zuma in the form of the previous advocate and attorney, as well as the outcome that says the funding by the state for his defense was irregular and unlawful and should not continue. In fact, he should pay back some of that money. Where does that leave you in terms of, you know, support by word only is one thing, but actually it takes a war chest of sorts to fight a battle like this?
Of course, you see, it's very highly unfortunate. I would have loved if you've asked the same question to the ANC, KZN, PEC, that how much are they willing to fundraise towards the court cases. But let me tell you, it's, you know, for as long as we have something that is called CR17 bank statement, which are alleged to have a list of judges who have been bribed by the CR17 camp within the ANC. I'll never trust the justice system of South Africa. Even when, because you started this discussion by saying that justice, we have an open justice system in South Africa. It must not only be done, but it must be perceived to be free and fair. And for as long as those documents are not unsealed, so that we can see who are the corrupt judges in this country who are taking bribes, I'll never trust this justice system.
All right. NKOSENTSHA, SHEZI, thank you so much. That's not the question I'd asked you, but I am completely out of time. And I do know that you will be around and you and I will continue to engage. And of course, we'll have other opportunities to raise other issues as well.